Long ago, the Houston Rockets were just on a 9-game winning streak, and they were playing some fantastic basketball. They also won like 11 out of their last 12 games at the time as well. And what made this winning streak so impressive to me is that the situation that the Houston Rockets were in. The Houston Rockets have been a good basketball team all season long. They've never been lower than a 6 seed in the Western Conference. They've really been a top 3 seed all season long, but they did have a point in the season where they did go through some adversity. They went through the injury adversity, losing guys like Jabari Smith Jr., losing Fred VanVleet, and losing Tari Eason for extended a period of times. And this eventually caught up to the Houston Rockets, and they did start to lose some games, and they dropped in the standings. They probably dropped around that 4, 5, 6 spot, but like we just said a little while ago, the Houston Rockets have never been below the 6th seed in the Western Conference this year. But nonetheless, for the Houston Rockets to go on that winning streak and to turn things around at the point in which they did, I think it was very impressive, because we look at that point in which they did that just a couple of weeks ago, which means we are well past the All-Star break. And when we get past the All-Star break, it's like teams flip a completely different switch, especially in the Western Conference, because you're trying to get that guaranteed spot in the playoffs, or at bare minimum get into the play-in tournament. So for the Houston Rockets to be going through some adversity and then to be able to go on that type of winning streak and jump back up into the top 3, top 4 seedings in the Western Conference, right now they're 2nd seeded, and it's looking like they got a great chance at securing that 2nd seed. So a terrific season for the Houston Rockets, and instead of being applauded for the winning streak that they went on under those circumstances during the time frame and how it benefited the Houston Rockets, instead they were slighted for it, because people were saying the teams that they were playing on those winning streaks weren't good enough teams. They weren't playoff teams, or they didn't have winning records. And then they also tried to drive this narrative that the Houston Rockets cannot beat the better teams in the NBA, which is just simply untrue. And just to name a few teams that I consider that can make some noise in the playoffs that the Houston Rockets have beaten so far this year, we look at the Cleveland Cavaliers, who they were able to sweep this season. That's just the number 1 seed over in the Eastern Conference. They beaten the Minnesota Timberwolves this season. That's just a team that reached the Western Conference Finals this season. They've beaten the Oklahoma City Thunder multiple times this season. That's just a team that's about 10 games above the rest, 10 games minimum above the West of the Western Conference. But my point is, the Houston Rockets, they've been beating great teams all season long, and that's because the Houston Rockets are a great team themselves. So, after their winning streak, and the Houston Rockets, you go on a 9-game winning streak in the NBA, people are going to have to talk about you. So the Houston Rockets, I'm sure they heard all this noise about people, what they were saying about their winning streak, and their schedule blessed them with an opportunity to go out and prove some people wrong. Now, their last 3 games, we look at their last 3 games, all against teams in the Western Conference that people think could make a deep run into the playoffs. They played the Los Angeles Lakers, where they did come up short, but it was a good game. It's not like they went out there and got absolutely destroyed or looked like they didn't belong. And then they get the Oklahoma City Thunder, where they played an absolutely beautiful game on the defensive and the offensive side of the ball. Amen Thompson did a great job on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Shai Gilly only got up 2 free throw attempts in that game against the Houston Rockets. And then in their most recent win came last night against the Golden State Warriors. And in this game right here, the Houston Rockets have just once again proven to me that they just been continuously growing all season long, because the team that they faced last night was the Golden State Warriors, and it's a team that they've been struggling with, not just this season, but they've been struggling with the Golden State Warriors last year. And going into this game, both teams know that. And this is where you can see the mental solitude of a team. We know what the Golden State Warriors are. We know what their home court advantage is. So for them to go on the road into the house of the Golden State Warriors and put on the performance that they did, I think it was absolutely fantastic. And especially in a game like this, for a predicament that the Houston Rockets are in, a game like this is all about tone setting, and that's exactly what the Houston Rockets did did multiple times as a team throughout this game. They went into that building with no fear, and they set the tone in so many different times in this game. And a couple key moments that come to my mind is they start the game off 6-zip. They come out, they 6-zip the Golden State Warriors, and then the Golden State Warriors, they do respond with an 8-0 run of themselves. But also this one play, man, I believe this was at like the end of the first quarter, or this happened in the first half. Draymond Green, he was trying to play his enforcer role, the Houston Rockets, and he ended up like shoving Alperen Sengun. He got teched for it, and then after that very following play, Alperen Sengun, he gets the ball, he posts up, he finishes tough over him, he gets an and-one, and all of the Houston Rockets, all of them with no fear, and they were ready to turn the tables or turn the tides of this relationship between them and the Golden State Warriors. And that's not the only way they did it. They did it on the defensive side of the ball as well. Stephen Curry, I think Stephen Curry, his first 3 games in the month of April, he accumulated over 100 points. He's playing out of his mind, and the teams that he did it against were all playoff teams: the Memphis Grizzlies, the Los Angeles Lakers, and then the Denver Nuggets. So for him to go into another big time Western Conference matchup where everyone is anticipating him having a big game, the Houston Rockets as a team, as a collective, they shut him down. From the guys that were face guarding him all game long, from the guys that was guarding him on the pick and roll, and the bigs coming out and hedging immediately, trapping him and forcing him to give up the ball. Stephen Curry, after accumulating over 100 points in his first 3 games in the month of April, the Houston Rockets held him to just 10 field goal attempts. He only hit one of those attempts, and he finished the night with 3 points. And Draymond Green, who was trying to be the bully, who was trying to intimidate the Houston Rockets, he had a bad game himself. He finished the game like 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 5 points, 5 fouls, and like 1 of 5 from the field. So it was an absolutely dominating performance from the Houston Rockets. And I think a win like this under these circumstances, it's big time for a young team that's learning how to win and building their mental solitude. So I love this win for the Houston Rockets right before the season started. A lot of guys played great for them. Jabari Smith Jr. has been playing out of his mind. I think he wants his starting role back, the way that he's been playing, the way that he's been rebounding the basketball. You go look at his numbers over the last couple of games. He's been big time for the Houston Rockets, and he was big time against the Golden State Warriors. 16 points, 9 rebounds. Alperen Sengun had a great game. He had a double-double on the night. Jalen Green, he finally scored 20 points against the Golden State Warriors. So a great game for a lot of guys on the Houston Rockets. Amen Thompson was scoring the basketball, playing great defense. And I'm just a big believer in the Houston Rockets. I'm a believer in their physicality and their ability to play defense. But that's what I want to talk about with you guys today. Another masterful performance by the Houston Rockets. They got 3 more great Western Conference games to end the season. We'll see them again Wednesday against the Los Angeles Clippers, and I'm definitely going to be tuning into that one as well, because we all know the Clippers have turned things around as of late. But if you guys enjoyed, please leave a like, comment down below if you agree or disagree, and then subscribe for more weekly content. We do this all the time, man, and that's curtains.